fitness is a journey that everybody should start, but nobody should finish. Through challenges, we expand our understanding of what we're capable of. If you actually understand principles, then you can start to systematically program your body. The plan was always to swim from Martinique to St. Lucia, towing a tree. There are many things you can outsource, but your health, you shouldn't outsource it entirely. You should understand what's going on.
I got you here to also tell me how I'm gonna get through my Ironman.
Fatigue is just an emotionally driven state. You know, there might be fitter guys, but I don't know if there'll be any as mentally prepared as you. Be happy and content with just being uncomfortable. You know, get comfortable being uncomfortable. If you teach a man principles, he can create his own methods. I want to create an army of experts, not followers. Just set your goals high, like stupidly high, and even if you fail, you might set PBs or records in the process. Set it high, go again, do you know what I mean?
They say that the human race is doomed, that we have lost touch with our true nature, that the media has corrupted us, and that the planet has no future. I disagree. I believe that humanity is full of hope, and that our salvation lies within each one of us. My name is Brian Rose, and my job is to listen, the oldest method of learning known to man. Each week I seek out individuals that are changing the world, people who are living and thinking in a different way. Their stories will challenge your beliefs, make you question your choices, and perhaps inspire you to change. I never planned on doing any of this, but now I can't stop. Join me on this mission and make humanity something we can all be proud of.
It's time for you to man up, to once and for all, tell your mind who the fuck is boss. I need a fucking answer. What's it gonna be? I don't know what it is about this fucking sport, but it attracts people that really need to do deep work on themselves.
I failed in this city. All these bad memories. I never really felt like I gave a fuck about me or my life. I almost killed myself, like.
Think about something that is gonna drive you when it really hurts. Some kind of demon you wanna fight.
This is not Pussy Man, this is Iron Man. Under pressure reveals true character. What are you gonna do? You gonna be in Chattanooga, May 20th or what?
I'm a huge fan of Ross because he's an athlete adventurer who loves crazy stunts. Ross just recently swam 100 kilometers through the Caribbean from one island to the next. He actually climbed the height of Mount Everest continuously on a rope. I know because I was there. And of course, he ran a marathon pulling a 1.4 ton car. Ross is the real deal. He pushes the limits of endurance and strength. And now he's got his brand new publication coming out now. Ross has been on the show. I'm a big fan. He's got so much energy. He goes so hard. He abuses his body. And I know you're gonna love this show. And inside London Real, the Academy is kicking off. We've got the Business Accelerator, the Public Speaking Accelerator, of course the Life Accelerator, and Speak to Inspire. We teach you at any place in the world over 8 weeks to get you to do the things you don't want to do. Build a business, be somebody. Here's some more about it.
London Real doesn't stop when the conversation ends. You see, that's when we get started. Because everything begins with a thought, and then comes the action. The London Real Academy is our global transformation platform. Here we bring together thousands of students from over 75 countries. Whether you want to build a profitable business from your passion, or learn to speak to inspire, or broadcast yourself with your very own podcast, or accelerate your life to become a high-performance person, we have the online accountability course and personal mentoring program that will make your dream a reality. Join us, and we'll take your life to the next level, together. Our next accelerator course is starting soon.
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Ross Edgley, the athlete, adventurer, and author with a decade-long career in sport, fitness, and nutrition. You have set world records around the globe, such as swimming 100 kilometers in the Caribbean Sea while pulling a 100-pound tree, climbing the height of Mount Everest up a rope continuously for 24 hours. I was there, and running a marathon pulling a 1.4-ton car. You're the co-founder of the sports nutrition company, The Protein Works, and your new book, The World's Fittest Book, is out soon. Ross, welcome back to London Real.
Oh, bro, what? It's 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that's gone quick.
Yeah, it's gone quick.
And my hands have only just recovered and forgiven me for the rope climb.
Oh, for the ropes, really?
That was bleak.
Stayed calloused.
Yeah, I mean, I know you came to cheer me up halfway through, and they were in pieces. I think I went for about 4 pairs of gloves at that point.
Yeah, it looked challenging. And it was nothing glamorous about it. It was like in the middle of a field somewhere, and you were there just going up and down. But look, since then, in the last 2 years, you've just taken it to another level. I want to talk about the book. I want to talk about you swimming in the Caribbean and you a bunch of other crazy things you've done, 48 hours of swimming.
Yeah.
I mean, you're really putting a lot of things out there, doing a lot of stuff with Red Bull too. Yeah. So look, I want to get into all of this stuff, but I'll be honest, I'm a little bit selfish. I got you here to also tell me how I'm going to get through my Ironman. I'm turning 47 right before the race. I got 53 days left.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's this crazy guy, John Joseph.
I love him. He's amazing.
He's 55, fast-talking New Yorker, front man of the hardcore punk band, the Cro-Mags. He literally grew up on the streets. You hear a lot of guys say they grew up on the streets. Like, he literally did grow up on the streets.
Wow.
And but he's also been a vegan for 37 years. He was a Hare Krishna monk for many years, like real deal. And so he's got a lot of things going on. Wow. You've been watching the Iron Mind series. Thank you for watching.
We all have. No, we've been addicted. So that's why I'm saying I'm probably going to be questioning you. Everybody down the office has been watching this, including you getting beaten up the other day in the pool.
In the pool, right? And you know what that's like too.
Yeah.
Because you've done triathlons as well.
Yeah, but also like water polo as well. I mean, it's hard. Like people don't realize when you're vying for position, it's not just a case of high elbows, streamline swimming. It's like, no, someone's going to come in with an elbow and take your goggles clean off like they did. So.
Yeah, I think the anxiety and nervousness is what kills people in the race, right?
Yeah.
And my trainer, Samantha, when I first talked to her, I said, is this dangerous? People die in the water. And she said, no, don't worry, Brian. They're just having heart attacks. And she said, it's people just like you, men in their 40s, who get out of their comfort zone. And so that's what John was trying to do in the water there, is like get me comfortable getting punched and slapped, because again, it's not going to be some beautiful lane in a crystal clear pool. Yeah. So you kind of know that stuff.
Yeah.
And thank you for the vegan protein powder as well from the Protein Works.
You are more than welcome.
Thank you.
I'll be interested to see. I mean, we'll get into that a little bit later, but just in terms of your vegan diet, I mean, how are you finding it?
Look, I'm 4 weeks in and I feel good,
yeah.
But I also got an incredible woman at home who's basically just turned our kitchen upside down. And she's dove into the power of plants, and she's making creative stuff every day. She gets up early and makes me pancakes and breakfast burritos with tofu scramble.
Wow.
And so I've been really well taken care of.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that, I must say it's hard sometimes. And I had a couple days here where I couldn't find food and I got really grumpy.
and you know what it's like to train for endurance sports.
Yeah.
I mean, you were eating 15,000 calories a day.
Yeah. For the strongman swim, I mean, I was putting them away. It got to the point where we were looking at sort of conventional Energels, and we were like, that's 30 grams of carbs. That's nothing, So in the end, we ended up basically creating like food bags that you'll pipe onto a cake.
Yeah.
And we were just using those. So when I said, can I have an Energel, we meant a piping bag, and then we were filling it with curry, with rice pudding, just anything, and we would just almost like pass it to me, bite off the end of it, and then just pipe it into my face. And so there was nothing pretty.
They make foie gras for geese. They just shove down the calories.
It's exactly it. And then it was just, getting used to, and I think this is so often overlooked, and that's why I'm amazed at what you're doing, not only taking on the Ironman, but also just flipping your nutrition on its head as well. Because I think looking at nutrigenomics, and we cover that in the book, but how your nutrition interacts with your genetics, it's so individual. And so you're right, you have to get comfortable just being like, oh my God, like that hurts, uncomfortably full. But then you've got to go and swim 100K, or do an Ironman in your case.
Well, yeah.
And it's just, you have to just train your digestive system. And it's too often overlooked. Everybody else looks at lactic threshold, VO2, everything, power output. But it's like, do you know what? How's your stomach going to handle it? And that's where certainly when you look at races like Kona, with the humidity and everything, that's where a lot of people will come unstuck.
Yeah.
It's not because they're not fit enough, it's just because they haven't actually trained and looked at all the variables, you said, panicking, digestive discomfort, everything.
Yeah, I'm learning. I mean, for me, it's just about being uncomfortable and then going with it and then letting your body and your brain adapt.
Yeah.
Because like you said, with diet changes, it's a lot to throw in here. But I mean, look, the beauty of a great challenge. It's something that's actually a challenge. And this is. And then also there's a bunch of other stuff as well. I mean, going back to New York City, I dug up some stuff from my past, and that's coming out with future episodes as well. So there's that too. But
and also, you didn't do a sprint try. You going straight Ironman.
This is an Ironman 70.3. So it's the 2K swim, 90K bike ride, half a marathon at the end.
Wow.
So,
but no sprints before this or anything? It's just...
No, I haven't never done one, So this will be new. Because I know the day of, everything changes, right? The anxiety, the nerves, the water, this. Because my trainer, Samantha, she said you'll see people who are super fit quitting because something happens, anxious, nerves, they get frustrated and that kind of thing. So I'm just trying to stay calm. John's going to be there.
Amazing.
And but
that's it. I mean, so I've been doing a lot of that, certainly with the St. Lucia swim. So looking at Tim Noakes' central governor theory, I'll send you some research on this, but it's saying how fatigue is just an emotionally driven state to try and almost get us to pull the handbrake on. It's kind of saying, Brian, this isn't very nice. It's self-preservation.
I've heard about this.
Yeah, and so what I think so many times people, in terms of strength and conditioning, everything is meticulously planned and it's like, hey, make sure that your heart rate is at a certain level and everything. But in a race, all of that goes out the window. Physiologically, your body's going to go, what? And as a result, your brain's going to not quite know what to do with it. And I think that's why so often you'll see sometimes someone who's not as fit, but mentally more robust, and they're able to actually have that conversation with their body. And the reason I say conversation is because I know during your Ironman, kind of like when I was swimming in St. Lucia, it was pitch black, it was dark, I was 80K in, and such sensory deprivation, because you can't hear or see anything, that you just listen to your body. And my body was like, oh, Ross, this is horrible, stop. And it was kind of like, are you really struggling, or can we do another K? Be honest. I'm sort of chatting to my body going, be honest.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I think we're okay. And it's like, okay, then just stay with me and let's keep going. And that's almost what you have to do. And that's what you'll see. Certainly, again, at Kona, if you make it to Kona, you are an unbelievable, athlete. But you see people on the side of the road, pacing strategies, or they've just gone, no, do you know what? I don't want any of this.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to be amazing. Certainly seeing how you train for this. Seems like no stone's unturned.
Well, I'm lucky that I got right in with a really professional trainer, and so she's training John and me remotely, but she watches everything. She's run a bunch of races herself. She'll be there. She's got like 20 athletes in the race, and so she's telling me to do the right things. If I was doing this on my own, I would have made all the mistakes that people usually make. overtrain, probably get out of my aerobic zone, all the stuff that we can talk about that you do, how you prepare for these races. So that, and this whole thing you say about the central nervous theory is interesting, because Dave Goggins was on Rogan recently, and he says, famous quote, most people quit at 40%, you know, which first of all is a great observation about humanity. He's probably not far off. But like, what makes you quit? And I think it's the brain taking all of these factors into play and trying to stop you way before you need to be. And it convinces you it's time to stop, even though you know you have the energy, the fortitude, the this, and it's more than just your glycogen goes. It's actually this whole game you're playing with your brain. Right?
It's exactly that. And it's there. It's a primitive mechanism. We have to have it because otherwise you'll run yourself into the ground. You will actually run until your heart explodes. You know, so it is there to just sort of say, hey, just pull the handbrake on, that physiological handbrake. Self-preservation, you know, your body likes homeostasis. It likes this habitual level where everything's okay. And all of a sudden, you know, approaching your 47th birthday, you're going to say, let's do an Ironman. And your body's going to go, hey, Brian, you know, we were comfortable at our new office. Like, what are you doing? And you need to say, look, like, honestly, it's okay. You know, let's get through this. And I know it sounds so weird, and the reason it sounds odd listening to myself, because you almost talk to your body like, please get me through this, you know, and I will give you a pizza at the end, and we'll go on holiday, and I won't do anything else stupid. And that, you know, knowing the end is there, that is kind of, and there's things you can do. You're already doing a lot of them already, and whether that's sort of consciously or unconsciously, I don't know, but you're doing everything right. You know, there's various things like hammer intervals. So looking at interval training, people will do, you know, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. And you know that when they're approaching that final set, then they'll go all out and they'll collapse on the floor. Whereas with a hammer interval, it teaches you, say you're doing 10 sets of 10, it will make sure that you do the 6th and 7th completely all out, and they'll just go. And this is one thing that I kind of learned from the Royal Marines, you know, and it's this idea that you go all out and then you have to keep going. And you'll know with the Royal Marines, the amount of times, you know, I was training with those guys and they'd say, right, sprint to the end, you know, doing 400 meter intervals, sprint, last one. So you're running, you're like, I'm at the front, you finish. And they go, right, 10 more. And you know, but you said it was the last one. And it teaches you to just be happy and content with just being uncomfortable, you know, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that I think is going to be your biggest asset. So that's why I couldn't wait to catch up and chat today, and I can't wait till you actually do it, because I honestly think, you know, there might be fitter guys on the start line, but I don't know if there'll be any as mentally prepared as you.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Because, you know, being there and all that, I mean, you can simulate it all you want, but then being there is a whole different thing. But you're right. I mean, I make bargains with myself. I remember I had to do like a 20K run a couple Saturdays ago, my first one, and I woke up in the morning and I was bargaining with myself the whole time. I was like, you know what, we'll just do 5K. And then I was doing 3 and 4, and then I was like, all right, we'll do 10, and then we'll stop. And you're just constantly playing games with yourself. And it's just like, if you keep going, you can play a different game. And so it's very mental. And so I'm just trying to practice these distances and these transitions.
And that's what I love, that it doesn't matter where you are. So for everybody watching as well, it doesn't matter, you know, what your PB is. It doesn't matter what you're aiming for. Everyone will reach that point where, according to the central governor theory, your body will say, whoa, stop, we've had enough, self-preservation. And it doesn't matter if you're incredibly fit, obviously that's going to be a lot later, but that's one thing that we certainly cover in the book that I'd love everybody to leave thinking, am I really fatigued? You know, or have I got something else? Like I said, David Goggins, 40% more, you know, and it's the same thing. And
except the brain's going to convince you in all sorts of ways that it's time to stop. But if you can logically know it's not, and be used to having that conversation with your body and say, you know what, I don't believe you. I actually know that's not true, and I need to do this now for me, for my exploration, to hit this record, and guess what, I'm not going to listen to you. Can we make a little deal and keep going forward? And so, that's good to know. My problem is when I get in a bad mood, and that happened earlier because I don't think I had eaten enough, and when I get in there, and when I get in a bad mood, I'm just like, fuck this, fuck you all, fuck, and when I'm in a bad mood, I'm in a hole and I can't get out. And that's what I struggle with. And so if I'm game, I feel like I can do anything. The truth is, on these races and what you do, you're going to be at a point where you are in a bad mental state, and that's the hard part. Right?
And it's having things in the locker as well. One of the Royal Marines, they said to me, you know, just don't rap. because if you don't rap, you're going to finish, at some point. So that was in the locker.
Just never stop, and then you'll finish.
Yeah, because you can't fail if you're never going to stop. You might still be out there and everybody else has gone home, but you've not lost. You're still going. So that was one thing in the locker. I had my parents and my girlfriend, they were on the boat. So there was times where they were, shouting stuff across. And then also as well, like, I don't mind admitting, I'm such a mummy's boy. So when I was looking and I was swimming and all I could see certain times was my mum on the boat. And I was like, it doesn't matter how hard I'm struggling, I don't want to upset her. So every time she looked at her, I'll be honest with you, Brian, I was chafing, my tongue swelled up so I couldn't actually swallow any more food. But as soon as my mum was like, you okay? I was like, Mum, I'm fine, it's great, So that was another thing in the locker.
Right.
So for you, it's just have so many things in the locker.
Right.
And at any given point, when you need to switch it, you can do that.
Focus on something else. So
anything.
I'm finishing no matter what. Even if they shut the race down at 12, I'll be like, I'm going to keep going anyway.
Yeah.
So you're going to finish. That's a great one.
Yeah.
And then you can focus on different people. Like, okay, let's talk about my son.
Yeah.
When he's older, do you want him to see this? What do you want him to see? And let's talk about my mom.
Yeah.
And then I remember when I used to do burpees at the end of one of my workouts, and at the very end, I did like 20 burpees. I was totally exhausted. I remember each burpee would be for a person in my life. Sometimes they would be for even people I didn't like. This one's for you, and this one's for you, and this one's for you. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, and that's it. Because I love what you said. It's anything. So it's, again, going back to sort of the military guys, during a 30-mile yomp, they'll be talking about what pizza they're having afterwards. And it's weird. We've been there cold, 50 kg on our backs, and we'll just sort of go, what pizza are you having? And then it'll be like, ooh, pepperoni and cheese. Oh, good one. And that gets you through 5K, just talking about pizza. So just anything. And that's another thing for everybody watching. Play games, but just make sure you win them. Because there'll be loads. Demons will come out and everything. But you've just got to be prepared for anything.
Yeah. And no negative self-talk. Never ever get yourself saying I'm tired or it hurts or anything, because that'll just magnify and spiral, right?
It's exactly that. Neurologically as well, you'll start dragging your feet, and stuff. So just think how sprightly you are, how light-footed, how during that final, run, you are forefoot striking. And, as far as you're concerned, you are Emil Zatopek reborn. Do you know what I mean? That's all you need to start thinking. And sometimes, I find that as well, just, visual. So I'm built like a hobbit, I am 5'9" on a good day. But when I was swimming across, St. Lucia, I was like, I bet I look like Michael Phelps right now. I didn't, I've looked at the video. But if that helps you, elongate my stroke.
Efficient strokes. Exactly. You feel like a fish or something.
Exactly. Yeah, it's exactly that. Anything you can think of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for those tips. The mental game is so important. A lot of UFC and MMA fighters now all standardly have a mental coach.
Yeah.
And I think everyone now knows it's a huge part of the game. Yeah. Thanks for the powder. I got 53 days. I'll keep you posted. Episode 3 is out this week. Let's talk about you. And then I'd also want to go a little bit deeper later and find out why Ross does the things that Ross does. So we want to get into that. But look, the latest one is this thing that happened in the Caribbean. I feel like we want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
It seems like the hardest thing you've done to date.
Yeah.
You did a series with it in Red Bull, and again, I saw you, in the middle of the night on this boat, and I know you saw the lights at the end, and again, you're in the middle of the dark. First of all, tell us, what was the plan? Why did we decide to do this? And then how did it break down?
Yeah, so the plan was always to swim from Martinique to St. Lucia. The plan was actually to do the English Channel, which is 35 kilometers, towing a tree, and I wanted to do that as an evolution of the triathlon.
The triathlon you did?
Yeah.
Which you did down there in the Caribbean as well, right?
Yeah, Nevis, that's right, because Nevis was going to become the world's first carbon neutral island, and they wanted to do something to bring awareness to this, and we kind of got chatting, and they were like, look, come and do our triathlon. So I did, carrying a 100-pound tree.
And how was that?
Not too bad. Honestly, not too bad.
Lying to me.
It wasn't too bad.
Wasn't your skin all messed up from carrying that tree?
That was pretty bad. Yeah, that was bad.
Okay.
But it wasn't too bad. The swim was okay. I actually got out of the position, out of the water in a decent position, and I was like, I'm racing now, and all my team was shouting and just going, slow down. So I took my time and I attached the tree. The bike was okay. I mean, it's called the Anaconda on the island of Nevis, 5K, 15% gradient. The only way I can describe it to you, Brian, is if we went out for a cycle now and you took one of the smaller members of your team and gave them a piggyback and they were kind of trying to get off your back, So your core, your transverse abdominis are just kind of getting torn, and you're trying to pull, but you can't really pull on the handlebars because as you do, that tree or that person on your back is swinging as well. So that was quite hard. Coming down was fine, but I was like, please don't, if I fall and I've got a 100-pound tree, it's not going to end well. So that was scary. Okay. And then the run was okay, just because it's such a small island. Everybody was just coming out of their houses, offering me like food, and I was stuffed by the end of it. People were making me like soup, and so I didn't want to say no. So it was just good fun. And then it was Kerry-Ann Payne, who double world champ 10K. Yeah, she was out there at the time, and her husband Dave Carey, who was a 2-time Olympian himself, absolute legend, and they said, you were quite quick on the swim. Why don't you just see how far you can swim? I was like, all right. So we threw around some ideas, and that was when strongman swimming, as we called it, was born. Okay. Started with 10K, and then we wanted to do the English Channel.
Now you have a swimming background, but you don't have a distance swimming background.
No, which is interesting because people will always say, oh, you were fine, you used to play, water polo, internationally. I'm like, yeah, but you're sprinting over 2 meters at a time. You wouldn't say to Usain Bolt, oh, you'll win the London Marathon. There's that difference. So it was relearning everything. So I saw you did 2K today?
Yeah.
Yeah, what, 2:01 split?
Yeah, which is better than it used to be. But
and I bet you just got to learn to just breathe.
Just trying to be efficient and breathe and calm.
Exactly.
I'm trying to visualize the things you're saying in the water, and I'm just trying to make sure every movement I'm getting the most out of it.
Exactly, because not only is that going to be efficient, but it also means you get on the bike and you're not completely fatigued. Yeah. So that's going to have such a knock-on effect.
Yeah.
Lucy Charles, she came second at Kona, an amazing swimmer. I don't know what she's going to do this year, but she's incredible just because of her swimming. She just gets out of the water in such a good position. But yeah, so I wanted to do the English Channel. Again, I always say I wish I had recorded this conversation. I rung up the sort of port authorities and said, hi there, Ross Edgley here. I was wondering, is it possible, could I swim the English Channel? And they said, absolutely, not a problem. We'll send you all of the forms. I was like, oh, fantastic. I said, just a small point. I was wondering if I could tow a tree, and like I said, I wish I'd have recorded it. The gentleman on the other end of the call said, but you're not allowed. And I was like, but why not? And he said, because you're not a registered vessel. And I said, well, that's fine, but how do I become a registered vessel? And then he hung up the phone. So I never got to swim the English Channel.
They really wouldn't let you, or you let it go?
I mean, I was like, I wanted to be a registered vessel.
Only in England would they not let you do it with a log.
So then the Caribbean heard about it. They said, look, we've got Martinique to St. Lucia. It's 40 kilometers, a little bit further. So, why don't you come and do that?
Did you want to do the English Channel because it's epic, or had that already also been done, so you want to do something different?
I think the English Channel was the logical one.
Yeah.
Captain Webb, first guy to do it. It was close to home. It was historic. I might do it, but it was one that I was a bit like, oh, so when they said no, it seems that the rules are a little bit more relaxed in the Caribbean.
Okay. And it was a firm no, or it was a no like, I'm just going to move on to other things?
It seemed like a pretty firm no, and then they hung up the phone.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So then, so anyway, it was 40 kilometers, Martinique, St. Lucia, and so that was the plan, with a 100-pound tree.
Okay.
Was the plan.
Okay.
As you know, it didn't quite work out.
Right. Now, how long does it take you to swim 10K?
10K with or without a tree?
Yeah, well, good question.
There are so many variables. And this is probably going to be one of your stranger interviews. Depends on the tree as well. Palm tree, oak tree. So we always, and then it depends: salt water, non-salt water, wetsuit, non-wetsuit. The type of rope that you use has a bearing on it. I later found out from sailors that throwing ropes off the side of the boat to slow it down is a legitimate technique. So when so
there's drag there.
Yeah, I didn't know this, and people, and again, St. Lucia is amazing. Everybody was tuning into it, and there was a local sailor who said, "Why were you using that rope?" And I was like, "Because I found it." And he was like, "Well, no, it's big, it's thick, it sinks." And he brought almost like a fishing line. So it was, and he'd be like, that will be no drag. Even as well, so naively, I kind of had this much distance between my feet and the log. And if you imagine, as you go over a wave, so the waves are about 5 foot. So as you go over it, because proprioception, you understand how your body's moving in the wave, you can dip and get a little bit of momentum. But if you imagine that's the wave there, the log doesn't treat it the same. The log just kind of goes smack. And so I knew that every time it pulled on me, I had a 100-pound log traveling very quickly towards my feet. And so sometimes it would overtake me. Sometimes it would hit the bottom of my shins. And more often than not as well, I've still lost a few toenails in the Caribbean because it just took my toenails, if you imagine, just clean off as well. So I rethought that and I went with a longer rope the second time round.
Okay.
So it was a learning curve.
Okay. Jesus Christ. All right. So you're down there, you got everybody on board, you got Red Bull filming, you got your own film crew, and you're like, all right, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
How long do you think it's going to take you? And is this going to be very hard? And how long were you training for it?
Yeah, so I mean, the distance was fine. So I was putting in, I can do a 50K swim quite comfortably, loads of food. And we were doing it in Derwent water as well in Keswick, which is amazing. So we were doing open water. So I knew the distance was fine.
How long does a 50K swim take you? Well, with or without a log? From now on, I'm going to ask every question that you're going to say, with or without the log. Okay.
So, completely. I mean, depends. When you're in St. Lucia, for instance, if you get the tide with you, there's not a lot of current. You're looking at sometimes 1 to 2 knots. So not a lot, but sort of during a 50K, you might be swimming at 1 to 2 knots. If with or without a trade, so to give you an idea. So if you've got 2 knots coming straight down the barrel, you're not moving, basically. Okay. I discovered this, I think it was about 12 hours in.
A knot is how many kilometers per hour?
I should know that.
Is it roughly miles per hour is knots, right?
Roughly,
so it's about 1.6 or 1.7 kilometers per hour, maybe?
Yeah, roughly, yeah. So
that's still a lot of hours, 20-some plus hours?
Yeah. And that's if you've got everything in your
still
favor.
Water, it's still going to take you a full day.
Exactly, waves and
It's a lot of swimming.
Yeah, so I discovered 13 hours in, I remember that the captain shouts at me and he was just like, Ross, you've got to swim hard, you're in a really bad current. And I was like, okay, no worries. And I set my watch and I set it to about an hour to 2 hours, counting down. I remember in an hour or 2 hours, I could get close to 10K, out. So I was like, that will get me out of any current, no problem. So I just put my head down and I swam hard for 1 to 2 hours. And I remember afterwards, I popped my head up and I just looked at the captain and I said, how are we doing? We must be out of that current. And he couldn't look me in the eye. This was after, like I said, about 12 hours of swimming. We were about 30K in, couldn't look me in the eye. And then he just said, Ross, you've not moved. You've not moved. You've been in the same spot for the last 2 hours. And I was like, you're killing me. So then
how does your brain deal with that input?
Well, I mean, my language was quite colourful at this point. And I shouted at the captain and was like, what, you're kidding me? He's shouting back at me. And then I remember we were arguing for about 30 seconds and he just went, Ross. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, all the time we've been arguing, you've gone back 200 meters. And so I was like, and what was...
So you're arguing with him because you're like, are you sure? Or you're arguing because you're mad about the whole thing?
Just mad, and this is actually, again, so I'm looking for anything, at the moment.
Onto.
Yeah, and I think, give me some good news. Tell me that I've moved. And I think this goes back to exactly what we were just talking about. So in that moment, I was looking for any way, I could have quite happily just gone, fine, I'm out, thrown my toys out the pram. And I think that right there was amazing because, again, it doesn't matter what your sport is, but it was almost like this metaphor for life that you can sit there and just start complaining, but you're going to move back or you can do something about it. And right there in that moment when he said I'd move back, 200 meters, I put my goggles down, I just went fine, and I just carried on swimming. Because that was the only option. You can't complain.
Yeah, it's like a metaphor for life.
Yeah, weirdly so, in that moment, right. Yeah.
Your life is ending 1 minute at a time.
Exactly.
So you might as well get on with it. All right, so you power through it, and what happens?
Yeah, so I managed... It was, I've got to be honest, only just now really I can look back on this whole experience quite fondly. I'll be completely honest with you.
How long ago was it?
It's in November. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it was
4 months ago.
Yeah. So I put my head down. I carried on swimming. So I managed overall on that first swim. I ended up swimming 60 kilometers. So it's a 40-kilometer swim. I swam 60 kilometers, and I still didn't touch the beach.
How far from the beach were you?
About 5 kilometers. I could see the cars on the street. That's how close it was. It was So I swam. put my head down, and then I looked up and the captain was like, Ross, you're 5 kilometers away. I was like, okay, he goes, you got to push hard. So I pushed as hard as I could and popped my head up half an hour later, and he was like, you're 5.2 kilometers away now. He's like, he's pushing you back. So I tried again. Half an hour later, I popped my head up and he was like, you're 6 kilometers away now. And I tried 5 times, and each time, I think the final metric was, you're 8 kilometers out. So I was going back to St. Lucia, basically.
How's your body feeling at this point?
It was the first big challenge that I had failed at, and I think, like, it was hard. Like, for those who've watched the documentary, my mum and my dad, I got on the boat and they knew that they were just like, he just needs to be on his own.
You were sad?
Yeah.
Angry?
Everything.
But did you have energy to be angry?
Yeah, I was ready to go again, and I turned to the captain and I said, I'll swim back. And he was just like, let's just sleep. And I was like, no, I'll swim back. And I was just, because it was weird to have stuff still left in the tank, and it was the first time it was just like, you know what, you can try hard, but sometimes you just have to tip your cap to Mother Nature and go, all right, you win this one.
Another metaphor for life.
Yeah, but you just, there's certain time, and that's the thing that I'd never experienced that before. And there was even a moment where we had a conversation with the boat. They were like, just ditch the tree. And I was like, I could, but if I arrive on the beach and I've not got the tree with me, I failed, so there's so I couldn't get rid of the tree either. And so I was just dragging this, it was my cross to bear. I was like, oh God. So I'm just sitting there on the boat, still with this tree attached to me. Brian, I was livid.
But you listened to your team when they said stop, because you wanted to keep going. But you finally said, okay, we got to stop.
I did. I would like to admit to you that it was very amicable, but I was pulled out, kicking in and screaming.
And was your tongue swelling and stuff, or this came later?
Yeah, so my face as well, the abrasion. So again, on my Instagram, you'll see that it was kind of just getting punched in the face for what was 20 hours. So that was the first swim.
That's because of the waves that are hitting you.
Yeah.
And it starts to chip away at the skin.
Basically, yeah. And also as well, adjusting my goggles, so that was just abrasion as well. And so it's called salt mouth, basically. After about 20 hours, your tongue can start to swell up and your throat. So
because of the salt water.
Yeah, so I couldn't take on any solid foods anymore. So it was just shouting back at the boat and just saying, like, what have you got? And we were just panicking, like running around for just anything that I could actually...
Liquid.
Just anything.
And that's not sustainable either, because if you're not consuming calories, you're not going to last.
No, and it was the first time that, like I said, it's like you can do everything right, but you have to plan, you have to know the ocean. Sometimes, even with all of that said, and a whole team behind you, you have to, and like I said, it was a hard lesson. But even at the time, I was like, if I'm going down swimming. I thought that was real noble, and they were like, get out, because they could see that I wasn't thinking clearly, and I'm so grateful to them now. Like I said, it wasn't a proud moment, because, like I said, I should have been a lot more. I'll get out, okay, this is. But at the time,
you said you can only get your head around it now, 4 months later. I mean, what was it like to fail?
Well, so that was okay, the first one, because I said I'm swimming back, and they saw that I was swimming back. So I was like, I'm just going to go back the other way. If it was hard coming this way, I'll swim back the other way. So I still had hope there, and I was like, look, I can do this. And
so do it over again and go the opposite way.
Yeah.
Because that way the currents can't go the same. They can't always be against you. So that's what you were thinking.
Was the theory.
But you would still need to rest up and stuff before you do that, right?
No, so I just ate, and I was like, I'm going back. So that's why. And again, I think I know I'm so stubborn and so single-minded, and that's a bad thing, but then it can also be a good thing. But in that moment, it was kind of a bad thing.
Okay.
Or
was it? So what happened? You ate a meal and slept a little?
Slept, and then, we waited, got clearance, and then, a few days, basically I think it was like 2 days, and then we went back the other way. And like you said, the theory would be that, if it was against you that way, but basically and I'm probably going to get this wrong, but from the Caribbean side and the Atlantic side, I believe it is, Martinique to St. Lucia, and because the two sort of oceans are mixing there, the currents that you get are so unpredictable. So going back the other way, 20k in, and then I just had 2 knots straight down the barrel, just coming at me again. And it was just, at that point as well, I mean, again, through sort of just, usually just muscling my way through a lot of these sort of challenges, you just bite down every cliche you can think of, just muscle your way through, just, you know, persevere. And I tried, and I remember at one point as well, I shouted to the guys on the boat, and I was like, I'm depleted of muscle glycogen, I've got nothing. I was seeing stars, you know, and your eyes are just, I was.
You said your heart hurt at some point, right? Did you say that?
Yeah, just because I didn't care about my shoulders, my eyes. I was just disappointed. That was the main thing. I wouldn't have cared. It was just that was what hurt the most.
Okay.
And so that's almost as well. Sorry, going back to what you were saying. With your Ironman, it's like, it's gonna hurt now, but what will hurt more? Like going back home, having done this whole thing, and you coming back into the office going, oh, you know, that would kill me, you know?
So that kept you going and going and going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at some point, you had to stop.
Well, this is it. So I learned that central governor theory, you know, that you know, you are able to basically say to your brain, no, it's okay. And you know, I don't need this mechanism of self-preservation. We're okay. And I told myself that so much going back the other way that actually it wasn't okay. And like I said, I was so depleted of muscle glycogen. I was cramping. There was a point where I was tangled in the rope with the log sort of around me, cramping up with jellyfish, and I was like, this is getting bad.
Was there a chance of drowning at that point?
I mean, I was always okay, and I was always in communication with the team, but it was just like, you know, I've pushed this quite far.
Okay.
You know, and I was almost looking at myself just like, Ross, you know, and the whole team had come out again, which, again, I was like...
Come out begging you to stop.
But they were just like, this is... You know, you've gone again, but you've got two knots pushing you back, and eventually, like I said, I was pulled out on that one. And if you watch the Red Bull series, you know, again, watching it back, it was hard now. But now I look back at it quite fondly, and even this particular moment. But as you see me get on the boat, my legs aren't under me at all, and I sort of waddle. And
Did
then
you hug your girlfriend there, or your mom, or
on the first one, yeah.
Oh, but that was the first one.
And on the second one, I actually collapsed. And
collapsed.
Then, yeah, and the medic was just, well, the medic was like, Ross, follow my finger, and I was trying, and I was like, no, I'm absolutely fine. But I think they looked at me like, you're not.
What was that next 24 hours like for you physically?
Again, honestly, bro, it's just my heart. You know, I would have gone again. We all joked, and in the morning I turned to the team and said, third time's a charm. And they were all like, no, enough now. But, and I think, yeah, looking at how far you can push yourself, I know it's, the harsh lesson is, you know, I know I can take it to that point, but should I take it to that point? And that's why I'm so grateful to have people around you. And I said, it's not an individual sport, it was such a team sport. You know, if I was doing that on my own, I don't know what the outcome would have been, because I would have still been going. So I was so lucky.
You're the kind of guy that would kill himself.
Yeah, but not, and that's not, you know, I know that it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'll go, but it's not, and I think at that moment I was like, this isn't good, is it?
Okay. I tried to ask you this last time you were here, and you didn't give me an answer, and so I'm going to ask you again. Why does Ross do these things? There is something inside of you that doesn't want to fail. And there is a darkness inside of you, and you are a very positive guy, and everyone loves being around you, including me. But there's something inside of you that pushes you to do these things. And it has to be something that's got some darkness in there. I truly believe that's true. Yeah. And either you don't want the world to see you fail, or you don't want to see yourself fail, or something. Yeah. What is it?
Honestly, I don't know. The only thing is I think David Goggins, massive fan of him. When I listen to his podcast, and he talks about, you know, not necessarily a nice upbringing, you know, and that certainly motivated him. And I was kind of trying to draw a parallel, but I was like, I had an amazing upbringing. So I honestly, I don't know.
Why don't you want to fail?
I think what it is there is it's just because I don't want to fail, because I have an hypothesis, and kind of comes back to the World's Fittest book, in that every sort of chapter in there and every challenge is, this is what I'm going to do, this is the plan to do it, and if it fails, then, it's kind of like, well, that plan wasn't right. So it's kind of like testing your own hypothesis in a way. It might be something deeper than that, but I'm not aware of it. But it's just, I love having something and then just kind of like trying to test it and prove it. And if it's wrong, I'm like, oh, it's like getting something wrong. But then also as well, like, I don't know, I said this the other day, like, genuinely, I do love it. Like, in that I think, and I this is me just kind of trying to make sense of it now, that primitively, we were meant to be doing this sort of stuff. You know, if you were in trouble and your family needed you to go and run an Ironman because, you know, that's where the next sort of hunt was or something, you'd go and do that. But now we've got so I think, you know, a lot of people go, oh wow, that's extreme, Ross. It's like, our ancestors, that wasn't extreme, that was Monday. You know, there was a time when someone probably had to swim from Martinique to St. Lucia because they had to get across that island and they didn't have a boat. There was a time where people had to just go and run a marathon, just go and get food. So I don't know. I think sometimes maybe it's just kind of proving that you know, we are quite powerful still.